Well, good evening once again, and welcome to this week's episode of It's My Turn Now, where everyone gets an opportunity to just let us know what's on your mind, let us know what your thoughts are. We're going to continue our subject on communication. Tonight, I had so many people to call me, inbox me, share with me their thoughts regarding communication. And so I want to go a little different direction. We want to talk about relationships, but I want to talk about how men and women view relationships differently. You don't want to miss this. Call your friends, tell them it's my turn now. It's on the air. Share it. Let them know that it's on here. Share it so they'll see it. And I want you to come on. Let us know what your thoughts are regarding is my turn now. Again, we're talking about the subject of men and women, how they view relationships. I talk to a lot of clients, talk to both female, both male, and I'm always amazed at how they interpret different things totally different. So this may be your chance to give us a shout out, let us know what your thoughts are. Maybe you're talking to someone, maybe you know someone that's in a relationship, not only just intimate relationship, but just friends. Sometimes people view relationships differently. Men and women view friendships differently. Women view things, their relationships differently. Women, they're closer when it comes to relationships. Women can say, "Hey, let's do this together," and sometimes men, their way they view things are just totally different. So, let us know what your thoughts are, how you view, or what you think is the difference, how men view relationships regarding to women, because sometimes. A lot of times women, when they're into a relationship, they are in it to be committed, especially if they're in a dating type relationship. They're in it. Men are sometimes are in no hurry. They want to take their time. And so and there's different reasons why men will take their time. But actually, I want to hear from you. I want you to share with us your thoughts on tonight. Let us know why you feel that women look at relationships different than men. What are your thoughts? I want to be the first one. Who's the first one going to be on tonight, and just share with us what your thoughts are as far as how you view, or let us know how you view relationship, uh, how you view friendship. Men and women view things different. All right, Sister Walton, first one. Let me see. Hopefully, we'll have everything. We're on a different computer, so praise the Lord, everyone. God bless Sister Walton. Thanks for joining this week's episode. This might turn out, and she shared. I want to encourage you to share as well. We had a lot of feedback on last week. And I'm going to talk about communication. I'm going to talk about commitment. And we're only going to be on for about an hour tonight. So I want to hear what your thoughts are on tonight. Let us know what your thoughts are. Do you think that women look at relationships different than men? Do you think that women are more serious about relationships than men? Or do you feel like men may want to hear from men tonight? Tell us what your thoughts are. Or men afraid. Sometimes I've heard women say men are just afraid to commit when they're talking to a relationship. Men are afraid to commit, and I found that to be true. But there are a number of reasons why that is, and I want you to share. If you are a male and maybe you're in a relationship and you're not committed, let us know what your thoughts are. Why are you not committed? I've talked to a lot of clients who are in a relationship, especially female clients who say, "Well, I want him to marry me. He doesn't want to marry me." I've seen them on different ends of the spectrum. I've seen some young ladies that are, very intelligent, very, disciplined, very nice young lady. But they're in a relationship with a man that just doesn't want to commit himself. And then there's some women who are in relationships with men that will, I'm just going to treat him any kind of way because he's not willing to be committed. I think that type of relationship, you have to check yourself. If you're in a relationship that you feel like I'm going to treat a person any kind of way because they're not responding to me or not responding the way I want them to respond, then that in itself is a problem, because you don't want to be in that type of relationship because you're not invested in a relationship like you should. And if you're not invested fully in a relationship, you're not going to have a healthy relationship. So, and if you're in a relationship that you don't feel that you can be vested in it, then again, that's a relationship that you might say, well, I need to evaluate whether or not this is something that I really want to be in. So I want to give you a few more chances. There's a lot of things I can say about it, but I want to hear what your thoughts are. just about friendship. Mm. Some men don't believe in getting real close to other guys, and there's some women tend to feel women tend to be closer. They tend to share things more. They feel comfortable. Men are very reluctant to share too much unless sometimes men out there before I was in church or people in the world, they have what they do. They like to brag about relationship, and that's a totally different situation. But I'm talking about healthy relationship that some people just kind of reserve and come. But I was looking at an article, and I want to share this with you. It says difference in how men and women view relationships can vary widely depending on individual experiences, cultural backgrounds, and personal values. However, some general trends and patterns have been observed in research and social studies. It's important to note that these are generalizations and may not apply to everyone. So if you got some ideas, just feel free to come on here. And I have to check to make sure that I'm not having the same problem that I had last week, where I had a number of people who were online responding and I couldn't see it. So if you're on here, give a comment so that I'll know that you're on here. I want to know that you're on here. Give us a comment or say something to let us know that you're on here. Okay, so emotional expressions. Women often more open and expressive about their emotions and feelings. They might prioritize emotional intimacy and communication in relationship. In other words, most women, and this is not what I'm saying. Of course, I've experienced it with some of my clients, but a lot of times women are very emotional. They can be expressive. They're willing to say, I care about you, or they will say, I love you. And men are just not comfortable saying that. And I don't know if it's way men are brought up and it's that macho image. I can't tell somebody I love them because if I tell them I love them, then that's not going to be strong or anything like that. And so, but statistics show that women are more emotional. This right here says they often are more expressive with their feelings, tell you how I feel. And I've talked to a lot of individuals, a lot of clients. I try to get him to open up to me. He just won't open up to me. I try to get him to talk to me. He just won't talk to me. And I want to deal with the broad spectrum, not just in relationships like husband, wife, girlfriend, boyfriend, but even sometimes in the family dynamics. Sometimes parents want to get their children to talk, or the sons, or maybe a mother or father wants to get the son to talk to them, especially when it comes to teenagers. I just can't get them to open up. And there could be, I don't have time on this particular episode to tell why, but there's a number of reasons why people are afraid to open up. Some people, it's a defense mechanism. Once they feel like they've exposed themselves, they feel that they're more vulnerable. And that's in any type of relationship. People are just afraid to make themselves vulnerable. And I've heard this, and I've heard a lot of men say, well, if I open up to her, then she's going to use it against me at a later time. And so some men are reluctant to really tell their family, girlfriend, friend, whoever it might be, how they feel, because they're afraid, you're not a man, you're not this, you're not that. So if you ladies are on here and you're watching, what are your thoughts about that? Or maybe you've done that. And I've seen it happen. I've been in sessions with couples, and they've shared that with me, that and one person in the relationship will tell, well, you did this and you said this right here, and begin to expose the person. God bless us, Doris. Said blessings to you and you both. Thank you. Appreciate you being on this. It's my turn now. So I think in our society, it's hard for people to make themselves to be transparent is what we call it, to be transparent. It's hard for people to be transparent because of fear of repercussions, fear if I am honest with myself. And the questions I'm going to ask those on here who's listening, who do you feel that you can feel comfortable expressing yourself to? A lot of times people in society, because there's so much going on, people are afraid to tell people how they feel. They're afraid. Unfortunately, I hate to say it, it's sad to say, but sometimes people are even afraid to share with their pastor, I'm going through something, because they don't know, and you have to establish a relationship with the individual before you feel comfortable enough to, to be transparent. And some people have a hard time establishing relationships, and they have a hard time establishing healthy relationship because they just don't know how to communicate. And we talked about last week, the ability to be able to communicate, to be able to listen, to be able to understand, to comprehend. And also in communicating, you have to be able to understand what the person is saying, but they have to be able to understand what you're saying. And so I was talking to a couple that was counseling on last week, and they were sharing me how, one person interpret what they were saying totally different. So it's always good in a conversation to ask someone, now what are you hearing me saying? I think that's so important. What are you hearing me say? We can't just assume that the person is hearing exactly what you are intending to say. So when you're dealing with a healthy and good communication, you want to say, what are you hearing me say? Or you can say something like, reflect, listen, say, I'm hearing. Well, I'm hearing is this right here. You can tell them, well, what I'm hearing, this is what I'm hearing. And I think if we do that, even in any type of relationship, parents, children, employee, boss, supervisor, especially even on your job, you may want to get some clarity and clarification and in communicating. A lot of times people are misunderstood on the job. And with communication, it's so easy. It's so easy to just be misunderstood. People can easily misunderstand what you're saying. And so it's important that, what you're saying is being understood. And so that's important. So it says more often expressive about the women, more expressed about their emotions and feelings. So most women are comfortable. Now, not all women. This is not all women. There are some women that are comfortable, expressing themselves, but there are some women that are very reluctant and they're very hesitant, and so they have emotional closeness where they just can't they can't express themselves. Doesn't mean they don't care. It means that emotionally, and it could be something in their past, could be trauma, could be a cultural thing, could be maybe when they were coming up they weren't allowed to express themselves. So these are things, when we talk about relationship, these are things that are so important. The background, the personal experience, because when you get into relationship, you enter into the whole of the complexities of that person, their history, the background. And if someone who maybe was not allowed to talk when they were kids, they were some cultures tell the kids to be seen, not heard. And most of those on here know what I'm talking about. They tell be seen, not heard. So when as these kids grow up, they're less reluctant. Some culture let the kids say whatever they want to say, and then when you get older, they want to say whatever they want to say and to whoever they want to say, and then we want to look at them strange. I look at kids sometimes. I see children, 11, 12, 13, for like, talk to a grown adult like they're talking to one of their friends, and I can say, because I was my rearing was different. I'm kind of taken aback by when I see a 10, 11-year-old child talk to me like, like one of their friends. But I mean, that's a cultural thing. And so communication is very, very important, how we communicate to each other, and understanding a person's background plays a vital role in whether or not they're able to communicate. Because a person doesn't talk to you does not mean that they care. It could often mean that they may not know what to say. They may have a hard time articulating what they say. Everybody's not able to express their thoughts and express how they feel. And some people, and if we talk about the five love languages, some people express that, how they feel through actual kindness, affection. There are different ways that people communicate how they feel. So I think sometimes we can be hard on people because they don't communicate the way we want them to communicate. But you may want to ask the person, how do you feel? Communicating. Is it difficult for you to talk to me? Do you have a hard time expressing yourself? What can I do to help you? Sometimes we can be hard on people, and because they're not, and we assume, we can assume that they're not talking because they not interested, or not talking because they don't want to talk, and that may not be the fact. They may not be talking because they have a hard time expressing themselves. Now, on the other end, there's some folks that tell you everything. They have no problem talking it, and that's okay. But then there's some men that they can't handle it. If a young lady's talking all the time, they don't feel comfortable, because there's some men that are strictly introvert and they have a hard time. However, it's interesting how those saying is opposites attract. So sometimes, you may have one person in a relationship that really does a lot of talking, and another person that's kind of quiet. Like, my wife. Take my wife and I now. Most people know me. Know I'll I don't mind talking. I don't mind express myself. But my wife she's more reserved. She's quiet, but doesn't mean that she can't talk. Doesn't mean that she doesn't have a lot of thoughts. My wife is more selective in who she talks to and who she shares information with, and that's a good thing. There's nothing wrong with that. Sometimes you have to be selective. For me, I'll talk to a perfect stranger, and I'm not going to talk to them and just tell them all my business. But I'll walk up to a perfect stranger. Hey, how you doing? And what's going on? I have no problem with that. So I think it's your level a comfort as far as how you talk to people. And sometimes I remember when I was taking a communication class in college, they would just break out into a sweat. There people have what they call social anxiety. When they're around people, they just freeze up. And so some people have social anxiety. It's just hard for them to be able to communicate. I've seen people just start sweating, just getting nervous. And so we have to understand that it's not easy for everyone to communicate. But I think the key is the person has to feel comfortable around you. So you build up an atmosphere, you build up a relationship where the person feels comfortable where they can talk to you. It takes time. It takes time. And one of the things I want to talk about tonight, if I have time, I want to talk about trust. You cannot have a healthy relationship unless you have a trusting relationship. You have to learn how to build trust. And sometimes people want people to trust them, but they haven't earned that trust. And when we talk about many times people ask me, what are some of the things that destroy healthy relationship? And that's any relationship: trust, finance, and communication. You know, you can destroy a relationship when a person didn't trust you. And once I find I can't trust you, I'm gonna be very, very reserved of how I speak to you. And sometimes once a person loses that trust, they don't want to be bothered with you. Some people want that's it. You one and done. That's it, one and done. I trusted you. You violate that trust. I'm not going to give you a second chance. And that's all they are. That's how some people are. And there's some people that are too trusting. They let the same person over and over and over again allow that person to just take advantage of them. So I think trust is important uh, in the relationship. But says men may be less inclined to express emotions openly and might focus more on problem solving, practical aspects of the relationship. So men and I remember years ago I was talking to a gentleman and he said, my wife says she don't love me. Say I don't love her. He said, my wife said he'll I don't love and the reason why she felt that he didn't love her because he wasn't spending enough time. He was working 6 days a week. He said, how does she say I don't love her? I'm working 6 days a week. I'm buying got a car, got a house. But what she wanted was important to her was that quality time. She wanted to spend that time. So I think it's important. God bless Sister Patricia Davenport, said First Lady Walton. You are my girl. All right. Amen. She's your girl. So I think it's important to express that. If you feel like, tell a person what you need in a relationship. Tell a person, I need someone to listen to me. I need someone to talk to me. I don't care what if it's a school relationship, teacher relationship, whatever relationship it is. Share with that person what your thoughts are. Share with them. No one's a mind reader. Sometimes we expect people to read mind. Well, he all knows, she all know. No, maybe they should, but guess what? They don't know. If they don't know, then they don't know. And the only way they can do better if you have to tell them. God bless Sister Dallas. Greetings, Bishop Walton. God bless. Thanks for joining this week's episode. It's my turn now. And so, too many times I've seen good relationships be destroyed. Why? Because of a lack of understanding, a lack of communication, a lack of just taking the time just to express how I feel. If you're hurt, now one of the things about me, most people know, and maybe some people like, some people don't like. I will tell you how I feel. I would try to do it in a respectful way, and let me back up a little bit. I will tell you how I feel if you think if I think you'll receive. Because some people are not going to receive. Some people don't care. You can tell them how they feel. They don't care. So I'm not going to waste my time telling somebody I know don't care. Some folks don't care. They just don't care. But if it's a relationship that I feel that's worth maintaining, then I'm going to tell a person, if a person offended me, I say, listen, I think we need to talk. And I'm not going to blast them out in front of anybody, because that's not a friend. A friend, if you can be hurt by a friend, but it doesn't have to end the relationship. Sometimes people make mistakes. Sometimes people say the wrong thing. Sometimes people do the wrong thing. People are human. And so what do? If you want, you have to ask yourself, do I want to maintain that friendship? If I want to maintain a friendship, then the key goal is to share with the person. Maybe they offend you, so you wouldn't blast them out. You wouldn't tell Sally what so and so. Sometimes we hurt relationship because we share our dislike or share our hurts with the wrong person, rather than addressing that person. So if I want a healthy relationship, I want a good relationship with a friend, I'm not gonna go to somebody else and talk about that person, because you make up and then this person is looking at them cross-eyed. So if you have a problem with a friend, it's go to that person. If they are a friend, they're gonna understand. If they respect your friendship, if someone comes to me and say, well, you know what, you offended me. If I'm a friend, I'm gonna say, what do you mean you offended me? No. If you are concerned, you should say, you know what, I really didn't want to offend you. Please forgive me. That's if you care. Now, somebody gets defensive and say, well, what do you mean you offend me? Then you that's a red flag right there, that person is not really concerned or does not really value that relationship like this should. God bless you. Sister Menor said, greet Dr. Walden, amen. Let the person know, talk to each other, Lady Deborah. That's so true. I mean, I've had people who we've had disagreements before and misunderstanding. And once I knew a preacher one time. This is a true story. This is a bishop. I knew he felt that I didn't like him. He felt that I didn't like him. And I could tell that he felt like I didn't like him. And so he and someone else who I was close to had an issue. And so I just told him one day, I said, listen, I know you and this person have an issue, but I don't have anything against you. That person, are you serious? You don't have nothing against me? I said, no, I don't have anything against you. And we were best friends from that point on. The thing that's important is never base your relationship with someone on somebody else's relationship. Don't let someone else mold your opinion of another person, because they're seeing things. They may be seeing that person through 10 eyes. So I'm not going to let, because you don't like Bluefoot, I'm not supposed to like him. No, I'm going to go by what I hear and see. I might be, cautious and watch, but I'm not going to judge somebody by what somebody else, because if that's the case, and there may be people who have misjudged me, so people might say, well, the brother Walton's a mean person. Because sometimes you just have to judge for yourself. God bless us. Jamie Gonzalez said, I'm more of a social butterfly, and I can talk to people wherever I go. Strangers tell me things I don't feel like I need to know, but I'm polite until I can cut it off. And that's a good thing. That says that people feel that you're approachable. And that's a blessing. That's why I feel, and some people, they have that gift and they have that skill and they feel comfortable. But some people, they are shy in social settings. They have a hard time. Maybe at one time I'll do a session, how to feel comfortable in social settings. And I've talked to people who they just have a hard time just talking to anybody. They can go in social setting and they'll go in the corner and sit by themselves, afraid of talking about it. But I tell folks, anybody gonna hurt you. Don't be afraid. Sometimes you have to kind of get your nerves and ask them what's the worst they can do. So I think the fear of embarrassment, the fear of saying the wrong thing prevents people from communicating. But I think you may have to practice it, work on it, work in small groups. I recently started attending Toastmasters. Toastmasters way back in the 70s and 80s. I remember they did it on jobs and things like that. At the Y, they have a Toastmaster in Indianapolis, YMCA. I was going to work out and I said, let me try this out. And if you feel uncomfortable in social setting, that might be something for you to do. I mean, they help you, they work with you, they build your confidence. I'm just a people person, so I just enjoy doing it. But these are things that you can do to kind of build up your confidence if you are not comfortable in talking in social settings. Not too many people just automatically comfortable, but the more you talk, the more you're in social settings, the more comfortable you get. Doesn't mean that you're always going to be comfortable. Someone asked me one time, they said, when I speak different places all over the country, preaching different places, and I'm still a lot of times, I'm still nervous. May not be able to tell it, but I'm still nervous. But I don't allow that to keep me from interacting, communicating. Sometimes people allow the fear prevent them from being able to effectively communicate. So again, it says men may be less inclined to express emotions openly and might focus more on problem solving and practical aspects. So talk to that person, tell them what you want. The man told me, she said that I don't love her, but he was trying to show her that he loved her by giving her the things that he did not have as a child. And sometimes you might have to tell the person, this is how I feel. The reason why I'm doing this because that means to me, and I want to give you my best. You can't assume that they want, there's nothing wrong with asking a person what they want. If my wife has fixed me dinner and she fixed me something that I don't want, and she take the time to labor over and fix it, and I say, why you fix this right here? I didn't want this right here. Then she's gonna be hurt. I've got to value what she does, and we have to value other people. So, but if she fixed something that is not my top priority, it's up to me. If she said I'm gonna cook, and I might say, well, baby, this is what I have a taste for. And so you've got to be able to share with that person, especially those are close to you. There's no reason why you shouldn't be able to talk to your friends, your neighbor, your family, just talk things out. And sometimes people fall out for misunderstanding. I've seen people fall out for years over a misunderstanding, totally misunderstood what the person's saying, and never allow what someone else says about a person or someone says a person without going to the person, especially if it's somebody supposed to be a friend. Don't let someone turn you away from your friend because someone else says something, because maybe a fact that person may be jealous of the relationship that you have with that person. So these are things you have to talk about. Relationships, just be careful who gets your ear and be careful who you listen to. And men deal with the practical aspect of relationship problem solving. Talk about when it comes to communication styles. Women tend to value. I want to say this. If men are on here, I know some of you are on here, so I want you to listen up. Women tend to value verbal communication and might seek to discuss feelings and relationship dynamics more frequently. Tell me how you feel. Tell me how you feel. I don't know how I feel. I don't know. Listen, man. Listen. You know how you feel, or say I don't know how I feel, or you need to start examining how you feel, because you got some type of idea how you feel. Sometimes maybe you don't, but most times men are afraid to say how they feel, and you got to man up and be willing. Sister Jamie says that's true. Thanks, Sister Jamie. You have to be willing to, and we have to be honest. And back to what I said, be honest. Say, well, I'm not sure how I feel. Better than say I don't know how I feel than not say anything at all. Just ignore the person, because it's important that you share with them how you feel. So it says women value verbal communication and might seek to discuss feelings and relationship dynamics more frequently. But how you feel? Well, I just told you yesterday. Well, they may need that reassurance. Even children, parents, talk to those kids. Tell those kids, how special they are. One of the times you'll see me, I see little children. How you doing? Because I've counseled. The youngest client I've had was 5 years old. And kids nowadays are different. Kids nowadays are dealing with social anxiety. They're dealing pressure that we didn't have. How you doing? And kids, if you listen to them, they're really more open, and they're a little more advanced than we were when we were 5 and 6 years old. And a lot of them would tell you how they feel. They'll try to process their feelings to the best ability, but they will try to tell you. So I think parents, we need to pay attention to children. Those who are grandparents, pay attention to those grandkids. Ask them how you feel. How you doing today? How'd your day go? I remember when my daughter was younger, I would tell her, I said, Christian, I said, I want you to lead us in prayer. Maybe the night of prayer. And I would listen to what she's saying, because what she's saying when she's praying, expresses what her thoughts and what her concerns are. Maybe sometimes grandparents to ask the kids, say, let's pray, let's stay about that and hear what the kids are saying. And you'd be surprised what they reveal to you. Sis Wallen said, love you, sis. All right, God bless. She's not talking to me. She's talking to one of the ladies here. I'm sure she feels that way about all the ladies. But all right. And so communication styles. Men may prefer to communicate through actions. Remember, that's what we're talking about. Men may prefer to communicate through actions rather than words, and might approach relationship issues with a more solution-oriented mindset. They want to try to work things out, all right, Christina said, okay, I see what you did. Well, it worked. It worked. I don't know now, but it's good. Even now, it's good. See what's on the person's heart. Thanks for joining. It's my turn now, Christina. Glad to see you on here. Okay. Men prefer to communicate through actions rather than words, and might approach relationship issues with more. So here's a problem with men, though. Men have a hard time communicating. Women want a male to communicate. And so when the woman attempts to, or female tries to communicate with them, a lot of times men get frustrated. Now, tell me, why would you get frustrated? That means you have to be empathetic. You have to listen to what a person says. You have to be concerned and say, why are they saying what they're saying? Don't get frustrated. And not just say that maybe they need that reassurance. There's nothing wrong with reassuring a person. Well, I told you, I told you I love you. Now, man, that's just like you rather have a wisdom tooth pulled out, You have to be very careful. God bless you, Brother Joshua Best. It's good to hear from you. Said, praise the Lord. And so, we have to understand as men. I'm glad to see that you on here. I want to hear some of the men tell us what your thoughts are about communication. What do you see different than women? I think when it comes to me and my wife, we see things differently. Sometimes we see things different. Sometimes we see things alike. But that's important that you have an understanding of how the other person is viewing things. No two people alike, and no two people think alike. And so I can't get upset with her if she doesn't feel the way I do. And sometimes our point of reference in any type of relationship can be distorted in the fact that because the person doesn't see the way I see, then they may not agree with me. Because a person doesn't agree with you does not mean that they devalue you. It means that they are operating from the frame reference point of their own personal experience, their own personal emotions. And so when a person doesn't agree with what I'm saying, doesn't mean they're disagreeing with me or don't like me. They're just operating within the framework in which their level of knowledge and experience. And so if my wife disagrees with me or somebody disagrees with me, I can't get upset because the way they feel. People feel a different way. And so don't get upset when you feel this way, you didn't do this. Learn to communicate. Learn to express how you feel with that person and say, hey, okay, I see you must feel this way. Sometimes you may ask, why do you feel this way? But create a healthy dialogue with that person to get to understand that person. If a person doesn't like something you like, don't get mad at the person because they don't like what you like. I'm sure find out what you have in common. Again, sometimes people feel if you're not for me, you're against me. Sometimes you may not have a viewpoint either way. You're just you're listening. And it's okay to listen. Sometimes people talk to you, and if you don't communicate, then they're offended because you're not communicating. I'm expressing myself. Why aren't you saying anything? Sometimes people are trying to take the time to process what you're saying because they want to give the right answer. Sometimes people are fearful of giving the wrong answer. Some people are so precise in their actions. They feel if I say the wrong thing, this person's going to be offended. And if you got a friend that you feel like that you can't say what you feel to them, then that relationship's not healthy. So James Gonzalez said, I got to see Christina and Lady Walton at Dr. McCullough's service. We conversed with many friends that were supporting her on Saturday. Yes, I heard there was a real nice event. I was out of town, so I wasn't able to make it. So I made sure my wife and daughter were able to go. And they came back and they told me they really enjoyed themselves and they enjoyed talking to you as well. So, but and that's a good characteristic to be able to communicate, and I've had people say, I wish I could communicate like you do. I felt comfortable. And so I think it's important to try to make people feel comfortable. Create a relationship, establish a relationship with people where they feel comfortable to talk to you, especially when someone takes the time to talk to you. That's special. That means that they feel a certain amount of closeness. And I think it's important that we allow people to feel free to talk to us. And back to that fact, factor is that if I have a healthy relationship with someone, I've got to maintain that trust, because you can't have a healthy relationship with someone if you feel like you can't trust that person. So, if a person doesn't feel comfortable with you, then they're not going to talk to you. I never forget, I was with Bishop Amos one time. We were at a store, and we were in a cash in the line, and I asked her, I said, "How you doing today?" And she started talking to the older lady. And then all of a sudden she just started telling me, and I don't know why, she just opened up to me. She was a different ethnicity, and she said, and at that time he was in her. He said, come on, Bishop Walton, we gotta go." And lady said, that's right. She said, "I don't know why I'm opening up to you." Sometimes people have a need to express themselves, and if they feel that you are a person that they feel that sense of empathy. And I think it's important when we deal with people, have that empathy, to let people know that you're really concerned about them. When people feel like they're concerned about you, and and sometimes people just need to talk to somebody. So as Walton said, she's talking to James. It was good seeing you. So if people feel like they can talk to you, then people really want someone to talk to. People really, many times people have a need to talk to someone. Sometimes people just bottle things up because they don't know what to say or who to say it to. So for that purpose, they have a problem communicating. Let me move on because we're running out of time. I want to hear some more from some of the men. I haven't heard any comments from the men or those on here. Tell us, about relationship, your communication, what you see different in between men and women in relationships. Communication styles, relationship priorities. Women often place a high value on emotional connection and intimacy. They may seek reassurance and support from their partner. So this is where you get involved. Women want they want that emotional closeness, that emotional intimacy. So men can take the emotion. I'm gonna just be honest with you, men can take the emotional factor out, and I think it's important women know that a man, and I'm gonna say this right here without being cruel, in a relationship, just because a man gets intimate with a woman does not mean that he's emotionally connected. A woman can get emotionally connected, but man does not. So many times men don't have to have that emotional connection. They just don't care. And I don't want to say all men are dolls, but that's where they get that concept from. But men don't always have to have an emotional connection. And so we have to understand that, and women have to understand that. Oh, he wants to get with me. He wants to hook with me. That does not mean that he has emotion. You may be connected with him emotionally, but does not mean that he's connected with you emotionally. And that's why you have to be willing to talk and be willing to communicate and be discerning in what you're doing. God bless you. Is that Bishop elect Warning? God bless you, my friend. That's excellent. All right, Brother Joshua, I see that my wife communication with her lady friends instead her spouse, and that's true. Sometimes women feel comfortable talking to their friends, and I appreciate you, the first male on here that says something. Sometimes women will talk to their friends, but sometimes you have to take that time. They feel comfortable, and maybe ladies on here, maybe those that are married are saying, "Why is it you feel more comfortable talking to your girlfriends than you do your spouse?" And I think sometimes because men don't show that they need some. Men gonna say, "Hey, baby, come on, baby, please, talk to me." Men got to have that mantra, because, and if they were to do that, women don't really want a soft man. I'm just telling you. They say they want somebody face, but if a man is too soft, then they have a problem with that. And so you have to ask, so why is that you feel comfortable talking to them? But sometimes, men have to say, "Baby," But the same token, if a man would say, "Well, honey, you're talking to friends," then they may be offended. Well, what do you mean by that? Are you jealous? No, it's not that jealous. They're saying, so it's kind of catch two. Ladies, y'all can explain that to me. Thank you for sharing that with me, Brother Best. God bless my friend. Said, true to that, sir. All right, very good. Thank you. Bishop Chin says, amen. Bishop Chin, he's authority on the subject. Share with us what your thoughts on what some of your experience are in that area, Bishop Chin. Brother Richard, haven't heard from you in a while. God bless. Thanks for joining. It's my turn now. I believe having something in common makes a great marriage and relationship. That is true. That's so true. Having something in common makes a great relationship. But by the same token, you can create common bonds, create common experiences. I think that's important too, to create experiences where you both can build on the relationship. But again, it's so important that you take the time to talk. Women may focus on discussing feelings, understanding emotional underpinnings of conflict. They might prefer to resolve issues through dialogue. It says men could approach conflicts with the focus on finding practical solutions and might prefer to avoid prolonged discussions about feelings. So, and sometimes men say, hey, what's going on? Tell me what's going on. But you have to be sensitive to that person's feelings if you want to get anywhere. I'm going to say this right here. People say, well, I don't believe in conflict. Conflict is not the problem. Conflict will arise because everybody's different. Conflict will arise in your job, in your home, in your school, in your church. It's not the conflict, it's the ability to resolve the conflict, because sometimes conflict creates positive changes. Without conflict, without someone saying, you know what, we need to do better. We need to, I was at church and the pastor had a growth plan. He wanted everyone to buy a certain amount of member to church and set some goals. He's an accountant, so he had actually had some figures, which I thought was really nice. But if you don't have a problem, then you won't recognize that you can benefit from a broader solution. So when you're dealing with conflict, does not mean that you have to fall out because we have a conflict. Let's see how we can resolve this in a positive manner. Doesn't mean a person doesn't like you because you have a conflict. It means that there's a crossroads, there's a disagreement, and there needs to be some changes. And so the conflict has to be dealt with, but doesn't mean you have to fall out, just disagree. There'd be conflict. I give my wife and I, we have conflict. We say, well, where you want to eat? Well, I got a taste for, steak. She might say I have steak. I might say I have a taste for seafood. That's a conflict. What are we going to do? That mean we have, here we go again. No, we just say, hey, find a way how to handle conflict. I might say, well, I tell you what, baby, we go to get some, steak. You want steak? We go this. I mean, next time we'll see. Conflict does not have to end up destroying a relationship. A conflict just gives you an opportunity to learn and to grow and to be challenged. So sometimes people don't want to be challenged. Even in a healthy relationship, when there's a conflict, it calls you to learn, to grow, and to be challenged and say, how can I do better? Some folks say, well, I ain't got no friends. Well, are you patient with folks? Are you understanding? If you see a pattern, a negative pattern happening over and over again, then you need to be able to say, well, we need to do something about this right here. I need to examine myself because there's conflict. If I say conflict, I can't get along with no one, then the conflict is that that's a personality. Everybody's not wrong. So I've got to be willing to be honest with myself and say, what's really going on here? What role am I playing in this right here? Because I say in many conflicts, when I'm dealing with couples in counseling, there's enough blame to go around for everybody. No one person is wrong. One person may be right. Person may be in an argument. I've had clients where the wife might be right, but she's so stubborn in her attitude and the way that she presents it to him, then that creates a problem. You can be right, but you can be wrong in your presentation. So don't be so caught up in whether I'm right or wrong, and in communicating to where I can get a result, the problem resolved. Focus on resolving the problem. How can I resolve this problem? A win-win situation where everybody's, it does. The old saying is you can win the battle and lose the war. And so the key in any type of relationship, family, friends, dynamic on the job, you have to use wisdom too in what you're doing. You have to use wisdom in how you communicate with folks. I was sharing with someone one time, I was on my job and I was great. be promoted to a different office, and I had so much problem with the people, who I was communicating with. I wrote a letter to them, just let them have it. I said, "Boy, I'm gonna let them have it." And then the spirit said, "Nope, don't send." I was going to hit the send button, email to one of my bosses, and I refused to hit the send. I let the Holy Ghost tell me and keep me from hitting that send button. But a few years later, guess who I came to the office with and was my supervisor again. And had I not communicated, or have I allowed that negative factor of communicating, it would have affected our relationship. But later on, we began to be good friends. Sister Sheila says, good information. Thank you, Sister Garrett, Sheila Davis. Okay. Women may focus on discussing feelings and understanding emotion underpinning of conflict. They might be referred to resolve issues through dialogue. In other words, honey, let's talk about it. But the problem is that the person has to be willing to talk. The other person, there is a problem when you want to talk to one person and that person is unwilling to talk, and somehow that person has to be willing to talk. Now, here, men might emphasize maintain a sense of independence within the relationship and balancing personal space with commitment. So men just sometimes just say, "Hey, you do your thing, I do mine." But if a person is saying and they're telling you that I'm not happy with the way things are, then that's not working. You have to find out what is working, what is happening, what is helpful to the relationship. Expectations and roles. Oh boy, this gets pretty serious right here. Women historically, social norms have shaped expectations around roles and responsibilities within relationship, often emphasizing nurturing and caregiving roles. Men, social norms have traditionally emphasizing providing, protecting roles, which can influence their approach to relationship and responsibility. Now, times have changed. Now, it used to be a time that women were at home making the bacon, frying the eggs, and things like that, while men went off to work. But now women are going out, they work and they coming home, and doing. And there are some women who come home, they cutting they're taking out the trash and doing some of the things that the men are doing. So men, we got to have to do better. And there's some men that are just satisfied letting them do it. And it used to be a time where men were just satisfied. Well, listen, I'm working and that's it. No, I think you should maintain a greater responsibility to address not just the physical and financial, but there is an emotional need. We all have an emotional need that needs to be met, that needs to be fulfilled. And if that emotional need is not met, that emotional need is not fulfilled, then that creates problems. And plus, it opens opportunities for unhealthy relationship with other individuals when, sometimes someone mentioned something about talking to the girlfriend. Sometimes they may talk to the girlfriend because they feel like the girlfriend is the only one that's listening. So, and maybe someone may have a dialogue with your children, with your spouse, your friends, say, do you feel that I listen to you? You'd be surprised. You may assume that they feel that you are listening, but you may want to ask your friend, do you feel like I'm listening to you? Do you feel like I care to hear what you're saying? I think it's important. If you want to have a healthy relationship, that person has to feel that you care about them, that you're concerned about them. You cannot assume that they feel that way, because sometimes people will express how they feel, but there's sometimes people will just won't say anything. They're hurting silently, and they won't tell you that, hey, I don't feel like you really appreciate me. They like you, but they don't feel like that level of connectedness that they would like to have, simply because they feel that you are not listening, you're not as concerned as you should be. And I think in a healthy relationship, you got to be willing to be concerned. You got to be willing to be engaged in the relationship. Take time out. And one thing, my wife and I, every Friday, unless I'm out of town, every Friday is our date night. I make it happen. There's a lot of things we could be doing, but I make it happen because we need that special time. I think parents need to do that with your children. Do that with your spouse. Do it sometime. Get with your friends. You have a good friend. I have some friends that every 3 months we get together and go out to breakfast. Those are some friends, some men friends. We just get together and we talk about different things. Every 3 months we try to get together. So to have a healthy relationship, you got to maintain that relationship. You got to be willing to invest in that relationship. You got nothing in, nothing out. I was talking to friend when yesterday he was accounting for the federal government, and I was telling him when I took accounting, the only thing I can remember is LIFO and FIFO. LIFO, last in, first out. FIFO, first in, last out. You got to be willing to invest in something. You got to be willing. If you don't invest in it, you're not going to get anything out of it. You got to be willing to invest in and be concerned enough. A relationship take time. My friends, a lot of them, I'll call my friends up, think about, or just send them a text, let them know what you thinking about them. God bless us, Radford. Sheila Garrett Davis, I saw Lamar while I was walking. He was waiting for his anniversary gift. I forgot that he was married the same weekend as my daughter. Her anniversary was today. Well, tell her happy anniversary to her. Tell your daughter I said happy anniversary. Let me see. He was waiting for his anniversary. All right. Okay. Happy anniversary to the Davises as well. It's a small world, never know who knows who. So it's about communicating. It's about taking the time to invest in a relationship. Parents sometimes, now my daughter, we don't do that. We need to do it. But when she was younger, every Monday, we would get together every Monday. I just, let her talk, tell me what's on her mind. I would just listen. I think we need to get back to that sometimes. Maybe Christine, you're old enough now that she's on here. If she plays us back, you're old enough now that you can take your daddy out on Monday for lunch or sandwich or something and talk. But I think you have to be willing to invest in relationship. Please, I think sometimes we can take the relationship for granted, take people for granted. Do not take a relationship for granted. Do not take people for granted. Too often we take people for granted and we think that they will always be there. People don't always have to be in your life. And I tell you what, people will not always be in your life. See, says Radford, sorry, I forgot that my remarks were going to be shown. Well, all right. There you go. That's why I'm glad you have to be careful what we say. We have to be careful what we communicate. That's part of the program. Be careful what you communicate because you just never know. You just never know how. But it's a good thing that you said something positive. It wasn't negative. We have to be very, very careful. Sometimes people get in trouble because they say something negative. One of the things I think it was Bishop Gold said, and I can't quite remember, he said, when you say something, it's a needful, it's a helpful, and I forgot the other third thing. It's a needful, it's a positive, a needful, helpful, or something like that. So anytime we have this discord or conversation with someone, we need to let our words be measured and be careful because you just never know. Things have a way of getting out. So when you say something positive, you don't have to worry about it being negative. So you're good, Sister Rafa, you're good. And so men, social norms have traditionally emphasized providing. Men, it's not just enough to say, well, I go out and work, but you got to take the time to listen to what she's saying. I tell the story when my wife and I, we do relationship seminars. I tell the story that one time I told my wife, I said, baby, I said, listen, I'm just going to sit here, I guess, I don't know, Lord laid on my heart, I was convicted. I said, I'm just going to listen. I'm not going to say anything. You tell me what's on your mind. And she said, no, because you're going to interrupt me. I said, no, baby, I'm just going to listen to you. Go ahead, baby. This is your time. I'm going to listen to you. And she started talking and she went on and on and on. I said, oh my Lord. And she went on, but I had to keep my word. And when I listened to her, and all of a sudden she said, but she was able to hear herself and she was able to see things differently. Sometimes you have to give a person a chance to hear themselves. And the exact same thing with me. There's times when, she may ask me what's on my mind. I share with her. And then I may look at things different. Once you hear yourself, you may look at things. So give the other person a chance to be heard. Where's your friends? Where's your family? Give them a chance to be heard. Let them know what you're talking about. Okay, let me see a few more. We got a few more minutes than we. Okay, this is important right here. We got about 6 more minutes. Approaching to relationship milestones. Women often place significant importance to milestones like engagements, marriage, or other formal commitments as symbols of a serious long-term partnership. Like some lady may say, well, this is you know what today is? What's today? This is the anniversary, first time that we met. I wonder how many men can remember the first time that they met. Now I can remember the first date I had with my wife, but I can't remember the first time we met. The first date we went to a Whitney Houston concert. I never forget that. Whitney Houston in Indianapolis. That was the very first date that we went on. It was a memorable event. But a lot of men can't remember that, and it's important. I'm saying, men, it's important that you remember because a lot of times the women feel that if you care about them, you don't remember. So it said milestones like engagement. Remember when you're engaged. Uh, your marriage. I was talking to a friend of mine, and I said, by the way, I said, where are you going to get your wife for her birthday? Birthday? What's today? He had forgotten his birthday. If your wife or your girlfriend has birthday, tie a string, put it on your calendar. You sometimes we have to approach our relationships like we would approach a business. Sometimes some of us we dye every I and cross every T when it comes to business with the job. You got to do the exact same thing. You got to put the work in to have a good relationship to your friends, your family. Dye every I, cross every T. Be concerned. Write it down. If you know you're forgetful, write it down. If you're that forgetful, I thank God for Lexus. When I want something, I tell Lexus, remind me of such and such. But there's no excuse to be forgetting those things, and write them down. And that lets them know that you value them when you remember those special moments. Engagement, marriage, or formal commitment, symbols of a serious long-term partnership. Men might see these milestones important, but may also focus on how the relationship functions on a day-to-day basis. For some men, the practical aspect of commitment, cohabitation, financial planning are equally or more significant. And so again, men look at that approach that's different. I think we're going to stop at this one thing: fear and anxiety. I'm going to stop at that one, and maybe we'll pick up on this subject another time. But some studies suggest women might experience anxiety about commitment if they perceive it as a threat to their personal freedom, or if they fear it could lead to emotional vulnerability. And so, believe it or not, there are women who are as a defense mechanism. They won't open up, and sometimes I've heard men say, "She won't open up to me. I want her to just talk to me." Well, it may not be that she cares, and that's where you may need counseling. It may be the point where she may have been wounded by a previous relationship, and I see this all the time when people have been wounded in a previous relationship. You cannot say it's not going to affect your current relationship, because it does affect your current relationship. If you've been wounded and you made yourself vulnerable, and that other individual shattered that trust in you, and you're afraid, you don't want to experience a hurt. So now you're going to be very cautious who you're going to open yourself up to, and that's a problem. And sometimes you need counseling to be able to resolve that, because first of all, you got to make sure that the relationship is a healthy relationship. If you got a good man, you ought to be able to feel comfortable to talk to that man. Now, if you got no good rascal, then that may be a problem. There's too many women out there that have good men in their life, and they won't talk to them. They won't tell them how they feel because of what happened to someone else, and they got to be willing to do that. Brother Joshua says, amen. God bless you. Amen. Thank you, Brother Joshua. Men experience concerns about commitment if they fear losing independence or being trapped in an unfulfilling relationship. Men may also worry about meeting expectations related to providing or fulfilling traditional roles. So we're going to end this point here, and we talk about this another time. Sometimes men are just not committed. They're afraid of commitment. They're afraid, old saying, ball and chain. It doesn't have to be. Sometimes in relationships, I've seen relationships where people or they feel more comfortable. It's not in the church. I pray it's not in the church, but they feel more comfortable living with someone than getting married. That says, once I live with them, let's see how we're gonna get along. You never gonna really know a person until you marry them. You can live with them 10, 15 years. There's no commitment, and the relationship dynamics is going to be totally different. It's not until you get married. And if you can live with a person, I don't understand why people say I can live with you 10, 15, 20 years, but I ain't ready to get married. That's a whole different conversation. How are you going to live with somebody 10, 15, 20 years, got 10, 15 kids, and say, I don't know if I want to get married? What you're saying is, I'm afraid of commitment. I'm scared of commitment, and I feel like if we not married, I can leave anytime I want to. But relationship and healthy relationships is about being committed. If you want a healthy relationship, I say I'm committed to allowing this relationship to work, even with friends. You got to be committed. I have friends I've had for years. Kevin Davenport, he and I have been friends for years. Kevin and I have disagreements. We could fall out, but we talk about it. We haven't had a disagreement probably about 15, 20 years, but we have a disagreement. But if a friendship is worth having, some people lose a good friendship over something simple. Communicate. I've been hurt. I've been wounded, but don't kill a good friendship over foolishness. Take the time to strengthen it. Anytime a man wants to talk, that woman ought to be glad and not be afraid to communicate with him. It's so true. Thank you, Sister Radford. It's so true. You should be willing to talk. Especially, I'm gonna say this right here. This is gonna be the last thing, and I'm gonna wrap up. Anybody got anything to say in the next 60 seconds. But I said this last week, I'll say it again. I've had women, mainly women. I have men too. They said, I want to get in a relationship, but I'm afraid I might get hurt. Well, I'm going to say this right here. There's no guarantee in nobody's relationship. You just have to do your due diligence to make sure who you invest your time in, your energy and resource is somebody that's worth doing it. And there's no guarantee. Love does hurt. It hurts to love. You can love a family member and they can hurt you. You can love a friend, they hurt you. But that's part of the cost of life. That's just part of it. I wish I could guarantee that every relationship was going to be perfect and no one's going to get hurt. And you talk about, there are no guarantees. But I will say this right here: if you get a person who's godly, that loves God, and you're praying together, and you respect one another, and you're listening to each other, and so as Ralph said, you listen to him, he's listening to you. Or even as your friend, if you have your friends that you're willing to listen to them, allow them to talk to you, you have a better chance of having a healthy relationship. Well, if you enjoyed the session tonight, send me a couple of hearts and let me know that you enjoyed it. Share if you want to hear more on this subject right here. Let me know. I enjoy sharing. I'm out of town right now, and so I'm having a different background, but you see in the background the empty quiver, the window to building healthy relationships, there's workbook to building healthy relationship, and I believe these are a few of the books that I've written, and so I'm willing to discuss anything with you. Hope that you enjoy this. Please don't forget to share this right here. Share this with someone. Let them know that you enjoy the subject, and come back, see you again next week for next week's episode of It's My Turn Now. Sister Doris, we're going to let you have the last word. Great thought on friendship. Thanks for sharing, Bishop Anthony. Okay, my good friend, you had the last word. I'm going to put a shout out for Sister Doris has a book, and feel free to type the name of your book if anybody wants a good read. She's a very prolific individual, very talented, very gifted, and maybe you want to put in a message how they can get your book. Listen, we love you. God bless you. Thank you all again for joining this week's episode of It's My Turn Now. Don't forget to share this. Good hearing from you. Thank you, everyone, for participating.